Hi everyone, this is Sam from boardatwork.com, and today we're taking a look at the Lenovo X1 Carbon 2014 edition. Now this is a follow-up to the last year's model of the X1 Carbon, which if you listen to that review, you could tell that we were very impressed with that model at Board at Work. So now let's just basically go ahead and just give you an overview of exactly what to expect from this new model. Now this model basically looks and feels very similar to the last model. However, this is lighter, and it's less than 3 pounds, and basically about 0.7 inches thick. Now, 0.7 inches thick is a big departure from last year's model because for two major reasons. First of all, it makes it thinner than the original X1 Carbon, which we all agree was pretty thin. Number two, it makes it way thinner than the original Touch, which we all agreed was bulkier than the original X1 Carbon, and this is a Touch version, so I'm pretty impressed with the fact that it could fit the touch screen and all that in a pretty thin package and deliver that as well. Now, let's go ahead and look at the features on here. Right off the bat, we have the connection here, which is very similar, or it's identical to last year's charger. We have the One Link over here, which if you've used Lenovo's One Link, this is where you'll be connecting to. We have a HDMI. We have a mini display port, USB 3.0, and a microphone jack. That's on the left side of the device. Now, on the front of the device, we have nothing here. On the right of the device, we have another USB 3.0, and we have now a Ethernet extender, which is quite different from the Ethernet USB, or should I say the USB adapter for your Ethernet cable that you would have seen on the last year's model. Now here is what it looks like. So yes, that comes with the device. So that is a different, that's pretty different from last year's model. Now we also have the vent on the right side. On the rear of it, we just have the hinges, and not quite sure what this is. It looks to me like it should be able to open. It might be a SIM port. I am not sure. I've looked around and I haven't been able to tell exactly what that pertains to. Haven't seen. Actually, let's see. If I think about that. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That is a micro SIM port. Sorry about that. That is a micro SIM port. Now, at the top of the device, you find what you normally find with Lenovo devices. Lenovo on one side, ThinkPad on the other. Yes, this is a ThinkPad. This follows the long tradition of well-built IBM PCs. Lenovo brought over that division of IBM, and Lenovo has done a great job in continuing the great build and improving specifically on the design. We all know that IBM has been known for a corporate design, but with the ThinkPads, what Lenovo has done, or should I say with the Carbon X1s, what Lenovo has done is actually take that business-oriented design and actually modernize it. So you're not going to be, or should I say, you should feel comfortable taking this into the boardroom, taking it from the boardroom to the living room, taking it from the living room, or just going on your travels. This should fit anywhere that you use it in your daily life. Now let's open up this laptop and give you a view of what's inside. As you can tell, you have your chiclet keyboard, which is backlit as well. You have this, I'll just call it the nipple that we've come to expect from the ThinkPad days of IBM, and that's flowed through all the way to current Lenovo ThinkPads. We now have a touchpad that doesn't have any clickable buttons in the touchpad, which is a departure of what Lenovo normally does. That's a more recent development. We have the ThinkPad logo on here, and here is a major difference over here. One of the biggest changes between last year's model and this year's model is the inclusion of this, or should I say the integration of the touch function keys. I'm just scroll in. I'm just basically going to zoom in there to make sure we can get a better view on there. And that cycles through by pressing this leftmost button over here. When I do that, it cycles through the different functionalities of the touch functions here. Now keep in mind that this panel here also changes based on the software you're currently using on the PC. So it's adaptive. It's an adaptive function keys. So it's touch-based and it's also adaptive. So that's actually a very interesting way of Lenovo basically modernizing or improving on the design from last year. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the screen itself. This is a 1080p display. It's 14 inches, similar to last year's, basically, which is an identical size to last year's model. This is a 14-inch display. I don't know if you can tell from the video itself, but this is a pretty vibrant screen. You can actually get really clear, you basically get no loss of quality, even when you have it, so low. You can still see a very vibrant screen on there. I'll open that back up. And I guess I have to log in here. So we'll do that right now. All right, we've logged into my Windows account. And right off you can see the desktop area. And I'm going to bring the Windows 8.1 UI up. And you can tell this is a very snappy PC, because we're going to go back in here and show you exactly what we have in these PC. All right. All right. As you can tell, this is a touch screen, as we mentioned. Oh, sorry. Get out of there. All right, just to give us a view of what this system actually is running. Right now, it's running Windows 8.1 Pro, 2013, yes, Microsoft Edition, Microsoft Corporation, good. For the processor on this particular device, we're running a 1.5 4300U CPU, so that's a Core i5, I should say, not a 1.5, a Core i5 4300U at 1.9 gigahertz. Actually, it says 1.9 gigahertz and 249 gigs. I believe this is the 2.5 gigahertz i5 processor that's running in there. Our memory here is about 4 gigs, 64-bit operating system, full Windows touch support. So yes, it is touch screen, and that's about it. We have about 128 gigs of SSD in here as well. So this is pretty much your base model over here, and this will cost you about $1,200. Yes, it's not cheap. This is a somewhat expensive device, but for what you're going to be using this for what it has to offer, it's basically on par with a lot of the offerings out there. So let's continue looking at some other things you find on the device. I'm going to zoom out over here, go back to our Windows 8.1. Okay, what else do we get on this device over here? We have our fingerprint scanner over here, which was also on the last one. The placement might be different, but that's something we've come to expect from a lot of ThinkPad and IBM computing. Now let's look at the top of this device. I'm going to bring that closer this time instead of zooming. Now at the top of the device here, on the top of the screen, we have 4 particular sensors, which are our ambient light sensor, our microphone, a camera, and basically our screen or multi-touch or non-touch I'll say detector here. So that's it right here. This is our ambient light detection, camera, microphone right next to it, and that's the camera that's going to be used for the gesture interface. Now I'm going to give you a quick idea of what it looks like. It hasn't been set up here yet because I went back and I redid everything, but we're going to give you a quick look at the buttons for voice and gesture command. This is the button over here for voice command. We're going to go down here a little. There we are. Okay, zoom in here. So those buttons are right down here. This is the voice command button, and right next to that would launch your Dragon Assistant, and that is a gesture control button. That would launch your gesture controls. So we'll zoom back up to the screen, zoom out, and we're basically going to give you an idea of what happens when you click this button. Very responsive. So I'm going to click this button right now, and right away you're going to see the sorry about that. Yep, Dragon Assistant is going to pop up. It does that in the desktop mode, so maybe I should switch to desktop and then do that. So let's close out of here. All right, close that out and do that again. So there, Dragon Assistant's launched. It's a desktop application, so you keep that in mind. Click on that. Dragon Assistant, as you can see, that pops up right away, and there we are. It gives you, it walks you through the setup. I'm going to close out of there. Okay. Now I'm going to also click on the gesture control button, and that launches the adaptive key settings, and it gives you a walkthrough of exactly what gestures you can use and how to use them. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to close that as well. All right, all in all, this is a pretty solid device. So what it offers with the hardware inside of it, with the, the form factor, the design, and everything that Lenovo, the thought that Lenovo has put into it, it basically shows that Lenovo is a forward-looking company. It's basically giving you, a look, a peek into the future of Lenovo. Yes, voice commands and gesture controls aren't quite there yet. They're still evolving technologies, but Lenovo is basically telling us that it's looking forward, or basically it's looking into the future and saying they're ready for the next step in user interface or in user interactions with their PC. All in all, I'm really pleased with this device. This device starts at a base price of about $1,200, and it goes up close to $1,700 if you put all the bells and whistles in there, or it could go beyond that depending on what features you decide to put in your device. Once again, this has been Sam from boardatwork.com. This is the Lenovo Carbon, or should I say the Lenovo X1 Carbon, or the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon 2014 edition, which is a major step. I wouldn't say a major step up, I should rephrase that, which is a pretty good step in the right direction as an iteration from the original Carbon X1 2013 edition. This has been Sam. Enjoy your entertainment.